Good evening. This is the City of Twinsburg Planning Commission meeting for Monday, October 17th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shipley?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Kleinman?
Here.
Mr. Cohen?
Present.
Mr. Shebeck?
If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We begin this evening with the public hearing. The agenda has a conditional use permit request for outside storage for extra lease 8589 Darrow Road. The applicant can please come forward and give a presentation. It's for the members of the community as to what you're asking for this evening.
Good evening. We are looking for
I'm sorry, name and address, please.
I'm sorry. William Boron, 6000 Lombardo Center, Seven Hills, Ohio. I represent Langen in Engineering, who is John Mueller from Extra. Could not be here tonight, but he will be here Thursday for the ARB meeting. He's from Extra Leasing. This is basically a vacant 10.5 acre property. And he proposed, I'm not sure if you guys have the plans, but he proposes Extra Lease. What they do is they lease trailers out to, it's essentially, if you picture a Hertz rental car or something like that, they'll come in and lease their trailers out to people. So essentially they're proposing a lease spot or a lease parking spot for these trailers, a 14,000, I think it's around 14,000 square foot building. It's a concrete building. It's not a shed. It's not aluminum or anything like that. They do a great job on their buildings. Totally landscaped. And today, I believe we're here for this CUP, the conditional use permit for the, I believe it's 16 spaces that are into the parking setback, I believe.
Anything else?
I don't think so, unless you guys have questions.
Well, we will when we get to that part. This
Great.
is the public hearing, so now is the opportunity for any members of the community that would like to come forward and speak either in favor of or against, or have any comments or questions. Now is the opportunity. Name and address.
Scott Thompson, 746 Adirondack Drive, Cuyahoga Falls. I am the listing agent, broker. I am managing director of KW Commercial, and here to represent the sellers. They fully support this however they can, and I've had this listing a couple years now, and this is probably the best type use and party that we've come across in that time period. So any questions you all have, happy to try and answer.
All right, thank you. When we get to the work session and regular meeting, if anyone does, they'll have the opportunity to do that. Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward? Now is the opportunity. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing at 7:09 and we'll roll in to the regular work session. And the first item on the agenda is the conditional use permit request for Extra Lease. If the applicant could please come back up to the podium. A couple things to state. This evening, the conditional use request is actually not specific to the spaces that are in the front. It's for outside storage in general. It's for all of the parking that you're requesting for the to park the trailer cabs, if you will, for the entire site. That is all considered. Correct, Lynn?
That is correct.
Okay, so
Thank you.
just so that you're aware of that.
Yeah.
Also this evening, it's a conditional use request. The site plan is great because it lets us see what you're planning or what they're planning on doing, but tonight's approval has nothing to do specifically with the site plan. That will require you to come back again for a separate submission, assuming that this goes forward and you get our recommendation and City Council approves it. So this is just the first step. So site plan is not being approved tonight, just the conditional use request.
Understood.
That being said, do you happen to know the height of the fence that's going to be going around the property?
I believe that it will be whatever the code is. We can oblige by that.
Lynn, do we know what, is there a,
There is a height limit.
I don't have that in front of me, but it would be, I can state it would be per your
Allows
code.
for an
Okay.
8-foot fence anywhere on an industrial property. If an applicant would like higher fencing or security type fencing, Planning Commission has the authority to authorize that through the site plan review process.
all right, so as of now, it's going to meet the regular code requirement?
It will meet the code, correct.
Okay.
It also requires chain link fencing to be coded. But I think it's a spec on the
Okay.
site plan that it is.
Yeah, I think I saw that on there as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does it require like a privacy
No,
fence? Just, okay,
no, there's some buffering and landscaping requirements,
for
but
that.
only if it was next to a residential use, might
Yeah.
be the capacity requirement.
Do we know if their study's been done, if there are any wetlands on this property?
We have done a preliminary wetland walk on it, and there is I think there's 0.05 acres. There's a couple spots that we did do a preliminary wetland walk.
So minor, that'll have to be addressed however, okay?
I was just going to ask if they had a delineation report or anything.
We do not have a full delineation report at this point, but we're I think, like I said, it's 0.05 acres. It's underneath 0.1.
Yeah.
It's very minimal, and they're very low quality.
All right, so in a motion that will come later, assuming everyone is supportive, a lot consolidation will be required of the two parcels. And then my only concern, I mean, this is an I-3 heavy industrial zoned area, so your use fits in with that. But it still is on Route 91 and has a prominent, drive-by, a lot of traffic. And I'm going to be recommending, as a condition of the approval, minimum 30-inch landscape mound with a minimum 5-foot high evergreen trees, 2 rows offset in the area where the trailers abut 91, to help give a visual buffer of that area. There's a lot of spaces on here, 290 if I counted them correctly. So I'm hoping that business is good and there's not going to be 290 parked here at one time, and I'm sure they're hoping there won't be also.
Right.
And something that you can just take back to the applicant, assuming this goes forward. The way the trailer parking is laid out, there's 3 rows of trailers that abut right up to 91. And it would be preferable that those would be the last spots parked as opposed to the first spots parked, but that's just kind of a feeling from my perspective.
Yeah,
But
understood.
hopefully that landscape mound and the evergreen trees will help buffer that, and there'll be a nice building adjacent to it anyways for everybody to see, hopefully. So those were only my comments and concerns. David, did you have anything?
If I noticed under the second paragraph, the second bullet point, is it the 8 trees per acre are required for a total of 84 trees not in compliance, or is that entire bullet point not in compliance? So there's no
8 trees per acre is not in compliance. The tree total doesn't meet the standard.
Okay. And is that something that we're going to require them to get into compliance?
So when they do their final site plan approval, the landscaping plan will have to be submitted that addresses the conditions of the mounding and the evergreens, and it'll have to have that compliance, and Lynn will confirm that at that time.
As long as the frontage has some type of evergreen, which looks like it's spec'd out to be there, when it looks nice, it's great. I'm glad to finally see something going into that property.
Thank you.
Definitely.
That's it for me.
Thank you. Craig?
I don't know if this is the time to talk about it, but like the traffic flow of these are I guess, trailers, right? I mean, 18-wheeler trailers, is that what we're talking about, or?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Like, I mean, are we going to allow left out, or is this going to be right in, right exit, or are there any issues? We don't address that here right now, right? That's,
Correct. I mean, I surely can share that comment with the applicant, and they can take that back to the owners or the prospective people so that they're aware of any concerns that you might have, but it won't be part of the
Yeah.
approval tonight.
okay. Are there any, concerns with that from our side, from traffic-wise?
I don't think so.
Well,
It's all, I don't
It's
know.
my understanding that people renting or leasing the trailers, it could be someone as large as Amazon, or it could be just a trucker with one tractor.
Yeah.
And this is almost a self-serve scenario in terms of accessing the lot through the gate, and the timing at which trailers are dropped off or picked up are just so
Random.
There's not like a heavy traffic volume time period associated with this use.
Probably a way to think about it is almost like a car rental at an airport.
Yeah.
It's just people are coming in and dropping off and whenever.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is, essentially.
Will it be on all hours?
No,
Pickup
they-
and drop-offs, I see
it's-
7 a.m. to 6 p.m. business hours.
Right, that's what they
So that's-
typically do. Yeah, it's not, at nighttime, there's no traffic at all.
Got it, so,
It's not like a freight operation where
They're constantly
trucks
coming
are
in
being
and out.
loaded in the morning, and deliveries made, and
Yeah, there's no loading, unloading here. It's picking up a
Empty
trailer and
trailer.
then leaving.
right.
Okay, I guess
And
we
I
need to
had
address
also
that.
asked too, when we had that conference call, this is very seasonal, so I would surmise during the holiday season, there'll be many less trailers on that lot than maybe at other
Yeah,
times.
they've been rented.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Anything else, Craig?
No.
Michael?
Extra leases of St. Louis company, just where it was. No, just clarification for Len. They're not gonna need a full EIA on this, are they? I mean, the disturbance, if it's 0.5 acres,
If it's 10 acres or more,
so 0.5, we should be good.
if there's
0.05.
10 acres
It's
or more of
0.5.
disturbance,
Zero.
Point 0.05.
0.05 is even
0.05.
less.
But if our local city environmental impact assessment is required when 10 or more acres are disturbed. I'm thinking we're gonna be just shy of that, but if we're not, the environmental impact, we're requiring the delineation anyhow, which is, I mean, what else? This is a redevelopment site.
Right.
It looks as though it has been built.
Yes.
The impact will be negligible, even
Right.
if the assessment is required. I'm gonna guess Joshua, how fine the project engineer gets this under 10 acres of disturbance.
Right.
And it may have to be to get those trees on the side. I mean, because where else are the trees gonna go but on the side?
Yep.
Correct.
Michael, anything else?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Scott? Thank you. Scott, anything?
No, I think it's an ideal location. I mean,
Yeah.
it's situated between the clinic and car wash. It's not a 24-hour operation. I like the rental car analogy. That makes sense to me. I'm glad to see the investment in the community. So,
Thank you. Lynn, anything else that Planning Commission should?
No, as was maybe stated earlier, there have been other potential users look at this site. And one was a trucking business, another was an auto repair school. And they've all been truck or auto oriented.
Heavy industrial zoning, it is what it is. So, all right, thank you. Don't go anywhere, because we're going to go into the regular meeting agenda portion in a moment, and you'll
Got it.
be up again, so. Are the planning commission members all supportive of my recommendation as one of the conditions to have the mound and the evergreen trees?
Yes.
Okay. All right, it is 7:20, and we'll roll into the regular meeting agenda. The first item is the approval of the September 19th, 2022 minutes. Are there any comments or corrections?
Move to accept them.
Second.
Seeing none, then we'll accept them as submitted. Thank you, gentlemen. Second item is the conditional use permit for the outside storage. Is there anything else you'd like to share with Planning Commission at this time?
I don't think so. Thank you.
David, anything else?
No.
Fred?
No, Chairman.
Michael?
No, Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to make the following motion. Upon reliance upon representations made by the applicant and their representative, along with the submitted conditional use request and application for extra lease 8589 Darrow Road, dated September 13th, 2022 and September 14th, 2022 respectively, I move that Planning Commission recommend to City Council issuance of a conditional zoning certificate to allow outside storage in the I-3 Heavy Industrial District with the following conditions. 1, lot consolidation of the two parcels, numbers 6401215 and 6401213. And number 2, at the trailer storage along State Route 91, add a 30-inch high mound with 2 rows of minimum 5-foot-tall evergreen trees staggered. The final landscape approval will be by Planning Commission when the final site plan is submitted for review and approval. Have a second?
I'll second.
Second by David. Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinman?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have a positive recommendation for nothing from Planning Commission. This will now go to City Council, who will have the final approval. Assuming that they do approve it, then the next step will be to come back for final, for your site plan approval with all the things that are necessary. You can get all that information from Lynn. And the lot consolidation happened at the same time. Is that correct? Yeah.
I'm sorry, quick question. If everything goes forward without any hitches, what's the estimated time that this will be up and running?
They want to, I believe, as soon as they can get under construction, but if they could get it under construction in the spring, that's their time frame.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Let's move on. Communications and miscellaneous. Scott, anything?
No, I think we're going to address Mr. Newcastro's request at the next council meeting. The last meeting. I think they want a little bit more information, and Ms. Peters sent over just basically the same packets that
This is a rawhide
Yep.
request.
rawhide, yes.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
And see, part of the confusion was, the applicant was at the council meeting after the one he immediately called in the planning commission. And you had gone through, Scott, just the list of applications that had been considered. And so he thought he was approved.
Yeah, I just gave that report.
Exactly. We got October Sun through so she could have her grand opening plan, but the remainder of the applications were put through this past.
And he was not in attendance.
And
at that
then
one.
he wasn't in attendance.
Right.
And so it was just a comedy of errors.
I was also not present at the last meeting, so unfortunately I wasn't unable to answer fellow council members' questions, just, being more involved in what actually occurred here. So,
But
hopefully.
this one from this evening, I've already sort of preempted this with Shannon so that it could be on next week's council
Yeah.
agenda.
So yeah, I fully expect
Yeah.
that to be addressed this Tuesday, this coming Tuesday.
Next.
Tuesday afternoon.
Gotcha.
All right.
We know what you mean. Thank you. Got it.
Third base.
The 25th. How's that?
David?
Anything happening with the famous road, access road, trail, whatever you want to call it these days?
I think that they were revisiting that at department head level. It's still on the list. I think we're at a place where the HOA has to communicate back to us what their thoughts are. They had been in touch with city staff in regards to how to budget money for the year for the HOAs, And so they were made aware at that time.
All right, so they basically accepted financial responsibility.
Well, I don't know that the representative that came in to ask questions understood that it was their financial responsibility.
Okay.
I see this being a drawn-out process.
I mean, again, like I say it every time, I feel like a broken record. To me, it doesn't really matter, but if the purpose of it is to have an emergency vehicle go through there, it's getting worse. And this time of year, it gets worse, and then it kind of stabilizes, and then when the spring comes, it gets wet, and the erosion's going to be even worse.
Yeah.
It's impassable right now for any type of emergency vehicle, unless you have a really good 4x4. There's no way.
Yeah.
So, and if it's their responsibility, they need to step up to the plate.
All right, well, let them know that we're still inquiring and
Okay.
and hopefully have something else to report next meeting.
That's
Anything
it for
else?
me.
Craig?
I have nothing.
Michael?
Is Starbucks coming back, or did they get scared off?
I don't know. I have not spoken to them since that meeting.
It's a shame. Thanks, Lynn.
Maybe they're scared off.
I'm not saying you did it.
Yeah. Didn't know it happened, but.
And just on that point, like a couple times when I have left my house early for whatever reason, going west on 82, the fact that it was not established early on that we make that left-hand turn illegal and take them to the light to bring them into the parking lot. I know that the owner was not, probably looked at me like he wanted to take me outside and do something to me when I suggest that. That is just an absolute nightmare, and it should have been done right the first time. It's terrible.
Turning left and heading west before you get to the light.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, having people come in, there's only one lane, turn left in there to the FedEx, I'll call it the parking lot or entrance between FedEx and PNC building.
Right.
And people are constantly going in there. You have traffic coming
Go
the
up to
other
the
way.
light.
People are not stopping. They're blocking that intersection. So now you're blocking traffic going east past the 91 lot. I mean, light, and it's just terrible. As opposed to making them go up to the lights where there is a left-hand turn arrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Go in there, and it would
Be
just be so
correct.
much easier. But and that would be just a Band-Aid for that, but it's certainly much better than the current situation.
What it
It's
is.
just, and it's not like I go into Starbucks because I don't, but I get caught in that traffic whenever I go that way, and I can't imagine doing that every day.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for those people that are trying to get through there.
Thank you.
What's the ETA for the next meeting?
It is November 21st.
Okay.
And we will have, I expect that we will have an application for that meeting,
Got it.
at least one. Crown Hill Cemetery is looking to build a couple new mausoleums.
And I do not have to submit an absence request. I want to put that in draft for the next time I have to submit an absence request.
So you will be here?
I will be.
Okay.
So the training I was supposed to be in this week, I've never seen this on any, we're rescheduling email. It was we're scheduling training because they're changing the carpet in the training room. And there's about a bazillion rooms to train at the entire Scott, on the entirety of Scott Air Force Base. I was like, okay, we'll go with that.
Okay, interesting.
So no, I will be here on the 21st. Thanks, sir.
Lynn, anything else that we should be expecting or know or thinking of, or?
That's the only one I'm sure of is the mausoleum project. This project for extra lease has had some pretty significant scrutiny by engineering division already. If they wanted to turn this, well, they can't turn it around because they don't have the wetlands.
The delineation, yeah, the submission deadline being the 2nd. I mean,
Yeah.
there's still a couple weeks, but there's a lot to be done.
Yeah.
So we probably won't see them until
And I
December.
meant to ask the applicant, and I didn't. The application maybe had like a 9,000 square foot building, and he said 14,000 square feet, but whatever. It
Well,
doesn't matter.
I guess we'll see when
Yeah.
they come in for real.
Yeah.
All right,
If it goes through, there's going to need to be, is ARB going to need to look at it as well?
Yeah, they're looking at it this week.
Okay, got it.
it's almost kind of premature for them
Kind of.
to be looking at
I mean,
it.
this is the kicker, is the outdoor storage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of
Yeah.
site stuff to be done, so, all right.
Yep.
Need a motion to excuse Steve from this evening's meeting.
So moved. I understand he's providing support post-Ian and haven't done that before. Respect him for it. So
I assume he said he was in Florida working, so.
Okay.
It's a fireman working in Florida, he's got to be doing support, right?
Oh, yeah. All right, so Michael made the motion to a second.
I'll second.
Second by Craig. Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Walker?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinman?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes, officially excused and 7:30 adjournment.